It's On the Air with Lute Olson, an inside look at Arizona Wildcat basketball. Now, here's Coach Lute Olson and your host, Brian Jeffries.
Hello again. Welcome to another edition of On the Air with head coach Lute Olson. The Wildcats are back home this week after a trip up to the Northwest. 3-1 in conference play right now, tied for first place with three other teams, and it looks like it's going to be as tight a race as we expected throughout this Pac-10 basketball season. Coach, your trip to the Northwest started out in Seattle Thursday night at Bank of America Arena, sellout crowd, a great atmosphere for basketball. This has become a tremendous series, and your team comes up with another big win. 4 players, 20 points or more, and a lot of excitement.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely a game of runs where Washington got the big one in the first half. Outscored us 20-4 in one stretch, and then we went from that run by them to 15-0 that we had a run on them. But I thought it was an exciting game. Both teams played hard and played well, shot the ball really well. Both teams did. And from a fan standpoint, I'm sure it was really an interesting game because the speed of the game was really special, I think. And that has turned into a great rivalry. But the good thing about the rivalry is that, from the standpoint of the two staffs, Coach Romar's staff and mine are very close. And I think the players compete really hard, but I think as soon as the game's over, or even before that, we walked into the practice. We were practicing after Washington, and all of a sudden you see a lot of our guys know their guys, and it's a good series, and it seems like every game in that series has gotten down to final minutes of final seconds in a lot of cases, but we shot the ball so well in the second half that they couldn't keep up with that 70-some% from the field. And then free throw wise, we were 21 of 23, and it just seemed like everything we did on offense worked.
Right.
And defensively, we had problems with them just as they did with us because of the way they shot the ball too.
Best news is there's at least one more game between the Cats and the Huskies this year. But was this one of the games? Let's take the statistics away. Your team seemed to have that will to win, that no matter how good a shot Washington sent at them, they were going to come back with one of their own.
Yeah. Well, I think this group is that way. No matter. It doesn't make a difference if it's in a practice situation or in a game situation. I could go back to practices this week, and it's like, if one team gets beat by the other team in practice, they're not a very happy group. The competitiveness starts with the type of young people that we have, but they're competitive, and whether it's a shooting game or a regular basketball game, but it makes it fun for them, and it makes it a lot more interesting for us when they will take everyone's best shot and come right back at them. Because in that game with the crowd the way it was and the way Washington shot down through that stretch, I think a team with less character probably wouldn't have come back from that 15-point deficit in the first half.
And speaking of that, then Saturday you go over to Pullman. It's always a tough trip getting there. Best Washington State team in a long, we're talking 20 years plus. And you talk about the character and that will. Your team's down by 7 with 46 seconds to go in regulation, and I think all of us were thinking at that point, okay, well, this one is going to get away from them. And in the end, Washington State wins, but your guys didn't allow them to do it easily.
No, and actually, from that 7-point deficit to where we got the ball back with 8.5 seconds or something left, but then to Washington State's credit, they did just a great job defensively because the way they had been playing the pick and roll or pick and pop situation the whole game, that was the obvious one for us to go with, and all of a sudden, for that play, they did not switch that, and we, instead of being able to get it back to Yvonne and him taking big guy to the hoop, you know, we ended up having to take a desperation type shot, which was unfortunate, but we did not, it wasn't a case even early when we couldn't buy a bucket and they were throwing everything in. We came back from a pretty sizable deficit to start that ball game and got it back to, I forget what the score was at halftime, but it was only a couple points, I think, difference. So, no, I think this is sort of typical of what you're going to see with this team. They're just very competitive young men.
All right, the Wildcats in Washington, and one of the Washington natives played exceptionally well in both those games. His name is Marcus Williams, and he is our guest when we come back on the air with head coach Lute Olson right after this.
When you're looking for a new home, you want the perfect balance of design and value. The right combination of style and quality in the very best locations. A home that fits your comfort zone. That's why you're invited to visit Meritage Homes, where you get unique design and unmatched value all under one roof. We're Meritage Homes. MeritageHomesTucson.com. An equal opportunity housing builder.
Las Vegas, 408 miles. Over 7 long hours in the car. Why? When you have Casino del Sol, Casino of the Sun. Casino del Sol, Casino of the Sun. Just like Vegas, only closer. Vegas-style poker and blackjack. Vegas-style slots. Vegas-style entertainment and dining. Vegas-style winning. Casino del Sol, Casino of the Sun. Just like Vegas, only closer.
Arizona Wildcat Athletics is sponsored by your official University of Arizona bookstores, including On the Air with Lute Olson. Catch the live radio broadcasts featured Tuesdays at the main on-campus store. Browse our wide selection of officially licensed U of A clothing and gifts. Remember to visit the main on-campus store or the McHale Sports Stop, your official University of Arizona bookstores. Proud sponsors of the Wildcat teams and Coach Lute Olson.
Cotland Gardner is a real Geico customer, not an actor. So to help tell her story, we hired an actor.
My husband totaled our new SUV on my birthday.
But you know, I still love him.
Less than 6 hours after the accident, the Geico claim adjuster was at my house.
Well, I put on some tangerine lip gloss and answered the door.
Geico service turned out to be the best birthday present I could ever want.
I was one lucky woman.
Geico. Real service, real savings.
Stopped, crossover on Nelson, stops left, underneath, goes to Williams, who lays it in on the reverse side.
One guy that was very happy to get back to the Northwest, Marcus Williams, sophomore forward for the Wildcats, grew up in Seattle, of course, had an outstanding high school basketball career there, and now in his second year at Arizona. And Marcus, I know it's fun getting back home. There's a lot of distractions, but before you even left on that trip, I thought you put it very well. You said there'll be time for the family. Number one is basketball. And how'd that game go on Thursday? That had to be fun with everybody in the audience.
Well, yeah, I had about 14 people there at the game with me, you know, family, friends, of that such. So it was real special for me. But like I said, it's a business trip first off. You know, I tried to see people after the game, you know, on a late night. But yeah, I think it's one of the best rivalries in college basketball, especially for the fans, because it's a high-scoring, high-tempo game. And we're able to definitely give the fans a treat in a high-scoring game.
Now, I've seen guys go back to their hometowns before and not do so well because, you know, of all the things that are surrounding it. You've had 2 very good games at Bank of America Arena so far. Is it easy for you to put that, to separate it? And do you look forward to playing in Seattle even more?
Yeah, I think some people might get a little nervous playing in front of their hometown crowd, thinking they have to maybe impress them or, you know, whatever the case is. But I feel a little bit more at ease, you know, with my mom watching, you know, and my uncles and aunts. I don't feel like I have to show them that, you know, I can play basketball. You know, I think that they, regardless if I had 2 points or, you know, however I play, I think they still would congratulate me after the game. So the biggest thing is, you know, we were doing really well, and I just want to kind of continue that, and I want to kind of be a part of winning the game. But, you know, obviously UW, you know, I take it a little more personal just because it's my hometown.
Sure. You had, I'm going to say, about 4 reverse lay-ins in that ball game, which to basketball fans may look like a simple play, but you did a great job using the hoop to protect yourself. Is that something that you've worked on more, or did the game just dictate taking those shots?
Well, to be honest, I got a lot of it last year from Hassan. I remember he used to do it all the time, working that baseline, in the zone. And Mustafa obviously has done an incredible job as far as getting in the gaps and penetrating and being able to feed me down low. So I just try to use a little bit of that lesson, because they had some big guys, Spencer and Brockman, that can contest shots. So it's just kind of more of a natural reaction, but I would say that, Hassan is somebody that I kind of modeled that after.
Coach, just looking at Marcus's Pac-10 numbers so far, 21 points a game, shooting 65.5% from the field, 75% at the free throw line, 6 rebounds per game. Has Marcus become a more rounded player than he was when he arrived here over here?
Well, I think he'd tell you from a standpoint of the defense. Right now he's one of our top defenders. He can guard a big guy, or he can get out on the court and guard smaller guys. Matter of fact, last year we even had him on the point guard sometimes because we wanted that extra size. But I think that's going to pay off for him in the long run, is the fact that he has a total game, that he can defend well. He's a good rebounder. He's a good shooter. I think he struggled a little bit at the first part of the season at the line, but he's hitting those well now. But I think the key thing is that you take any part of the game, and he really plays it well.
I mentioned, Marcus, you're leading the team in scoring in Pac-10 games, but all 5 starters are averaging in double figures for the season. And it seems to be one of the themes this year that, one night you may have a great night, the next night it might be average, but you guys aren't checking the box scores. You know that there's always going to be somebody there to pick up everybody else. Have you been on a team like this before?
To be honest with you, other than AU, probably not. Even our AU team wasn't this talented at all. I played on some really good teams. But the way our team looks at it is, like you said, there's no box score. We just kind of go out and try to win, whether I might have a slow night, then Avon might, explode, or Chase or Mustafa. But overall, we've gotten pretty consistent play from everybody, so there hasn't been any pressure of anyone thinking they need to take over the game or try to do it all themselves. So it's great. It makes it a lot easier, and it's a lot of fun because we all, trust each other with the basketball and, expect, obviously we know that if we're open, our teammates are going to find us.
Coach says your defense has come a long way. Has that been the hardest part of the college game for you? I
would probably say I agree with that. I remember in high school I was kind of standing in the zone. We used to play zone. It was kind of like Syracuse, standing in the middle and just kind of, probably being straight up and, had some bad habits that I had to break. But obviously with Coach, it's kind of the biggest emphasis is defense and rebounding. Obviously everybody, likes to score, but, it's those little things, and I try to, with the big guys, be quick. Try to move around them with the, with the little guys. Use my length. So, Coach has done a great job of, teaching me, mechanics and correct technique.
All right, Marcus Williams joining us here on the air with head coach Lute Olson. The Wildcats coming away from a win up into Washington. We'll talk a little bit about the Washington State stop as well, and more as we continue right after this.
I'm a student athlete at the University of Arizona. I run track and I'm an honors student. Running keeps me focused and disciplined. It reminds me that to excel requires hard work.
I'm a student athlete at the University of Arizona. I play football and I'm gaining a lot more than yardage here. Learning teamwork, commitment, and how to give back to my community. Things that will carry me way past the goal line.
The University of Arizona, Arizona's first university.
Slots, the newest games, cash and prizes too. In our lounge of sports and entertainment, and so much else to do. Is it possible to have so much in one place that's in town? Food, fun, and cash, it won't be your last, so why don't you come on down?
Desert Diamond, this diamond has it all. Desert Diamond, this diamond has it all.
An enterprise of the Donna Automation.
What's better than driving a legendary Ford Mustang? How about hitting the road in a dealer-installed Performance Pack Mustang? Like the Ford Racing Power Pack, adding 20 roaring horses, or the Handling Pack, lowering the body by 1.5 inches for better cornering and overall stability. Plus, the dealer-installed performance packs come with a warranty. And if that's not enough, visit your Arizona Ford dealer and test drive a Ford Mustang and get 2 tickets to Barrett-Jackson.
To Shakur, takes the long three, it's good.
Wow, I never saw that one coming. It's his first 3 of the game, 5 feet beyond the arc.
It was tough, a lot of traveling and things like that, but still, once you get on the court, you gotta be ready. We didn't come out, with the type of intensity we had, the last 12 or so games, but we picked it up, and showed spurts of that, But I think it's a learning experience for everybody. The younger guys that haven't been through it, it's something they can learn from.
We stole, I would say, that a big win against Washington, and then we went into the tough game with Washington State. I mean, they slow us down. They play half-court basketball, and they kind of put us in their style of basketball. We didn't find ourselves playing slow type of basketball.
Well, the Cats got over to Pullman on Saturday, which is never an easy trip. And Marcus, I know you and the guys tried to rescue the team from a slow start. Washington State won it. Let's give the Cougars some credit. It's a good basketball team. What do they do defensively that makes it difficult for their opponents?
I think they just really do a really good job of doing all the little things. I mean, they do a really good job of boxing out. They don't overextend their defense. They kind of know what their limitations are, but they're really well coached, fundamentally sound, and we just couldn't really buy a bucket in the first 10 minutes. So they're a great team. I think it just kind of shows what the Pac-10 is going to be like for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Now, there's always lessons to be learned from every game. What lessons do you think the Wildcats learned from that game that you can take on into others where you're going to face some other teams with a similar style and, of course, see Washington State again?
Well, obviously, we need to be able to execute our offense in the half court. I think we did a fairly good job in the second half, but in the first half we just need to slow down, take maybe some better shots, and also securing the rebounds. And they got in there and knocked a couple loose, down the stretch that were really key, and that's one of the biggest things we focused in practice the last 2 days. So those, and you're going to have to not come out to such a slow start on the road, just because it's really hard, when all the teams are good, to come back, when their fans, are going crazy, they want to beat us, more than they want to beat any other team, in the Pac-10, that it's going to be a rough one if you get down.
You're now a veteran of Pac-10 road wars, but you got 3 freshmen that went on the trip. That was their first conference road trip. What did you say to Nick and Jordan and Chase, or did you? And what do they have to now take from that to prepare for their next road trip?
Well, luckily, throughout our non-conference schedule, we were able to play some road games, prior to this, San Diego State, and we had a few, that were neutral sites. But I kind of told Chase and Nick and Jordan that. Obviously keep your head, you have all the tools and there's nothing really extra you need to do. You just need to focus in a little bit more on the road just because people aren't cheering when you make a shot at all. You don't really have that same momentum. And then when the crowd will tell you, as Coach always says, when you need to slow it down and take a good shot and work the ball around. When the momentum is against you, you need to take your time and make sure you convert. Fast shots aren't gonna help you.
Coach, you talked about how Marcus's defense has improved. What's next for him? Because he's obviously got professional basketball ahead in his future. What's the next step for Marcus?
Well, I think Marcus would tell you the biggest thing in the practice that we work on with him is just making sure that he stays with his shot, and he's shooting the ball well now. But when he came back from the summer, it seemed like it was fading back and doing some things that were not sound things for him. But now when you watch him, he gets good lift, and he gets consistent arc, and his follow through now is I think pretty consistent also. For a while there it was pull back, and if you do that, if you don't leave that follow through up there, there's a tendency for you to go back when you've got to make sure that you're staying with that shot, if anything, going slightly forward rather than backward. But I think Marcus's game is really very solid in a lot of different ways, and I think like with any player that's going to go on to the next level, you have to be able to hit the open shots. And I think with Marcus, he has a great work ethic. He's a gym rat. He gets out there and really spends a lot of time on his shooting. But I think he's going to be a very good pro, I think, because of his overall game. It's sort of like you look at Andre Iguodala now. You know, and Andre came out without a whole lot of, you know, not a lot of publicity coming out of high school, but developed into, really was interested in developing his entire game. Andre wanted to lead the team in assists. He wanted to be one of the leading rebounders. It was not a case of points so much as it was just developing his entire game, and I think that's the same thing that Marcus has working for him.
Marcus, it's fun watching you play. Keep it up, okay?
Thank you.
All right, Marcus Williams, sophomore forward out of Seattle. We'll continue more with head coach Lute Olson on the air right after this.
On the Air with Lute Olson is proudly sponsored by Tucson Dodge, Geico, and Desert Diamond Casino. Now's the time to buy a new Dodge. This is it. At Tucson Dodge, we're overstocked with hundreds of Dodge cars, trucks, and SUVs. New Dodge Calibers starting at $12,991. or 07 Ram Quad Cab 1500s for $15,991. Get $9,000 off new 07 Ram 1500 trucks starting from only $12,991. Get to Tucson Dodge, home of On the Air with Lute Olson, and still Tucson's discount truck headquarters. Come by 4220 East 22nd Street or visit us online at TucsonDodge.com.
The newest slots, the newest games, cash and prizes too, and our lounge of sports and entertainment, and so much else to do. Is it possible to have so much in one place that's in town? Food, fun, and cash, it won't be your last, so why don't you come on down?
Desert Diamond, this diamond has it all. Desert Diamond, this diamond has it all.
An enterprise of the Donna Autumn Nation.
Arizona Wildcat Athletics is sponsored by your official University of Arizona bookstores, including On the Air with Lute Olson. Catch the live radio broadcasts featured Tuesdays at the main on-campus store. Browse our wide selection of officially licensed U of A clothing and gifts. Remember to visit the main on-campus store or the McHale Sports Stop, your official University of Arizona bookstores. Proud sponsors of the Wildcat teams and Coach Lute Olson.
Top of the key, Radenovich. Left corner, McClellan. That's Don Appleby. Top of the key, Budinger. He'll shoot the three out there. It's good.
Right over Phil Nelson, freshman on freshman. Chase looked very solid, getting his balance, knocking down his first shot.
We got to protect our home court. I mean, that's the biggest thing in the Pac-10 right now is, we got to try to win every game at home because, we play well here. We play our game. We have a great feeling here, so, we just got to come out, bounce back from that loss and, just be ready and focused.
First game of playing, I guess I would say the underdog, but it just looks like that on the paper. But we still got to come out and play a great game and try to finish the job early in the game because as long as they stay in the game, they feel more comfortable and they're trying to steal that win against us.
When you get home, you have the home crowd, just energizing you. So it's always great to be home and really get things started.
We're on the air with head coach Lute Olson, and we come your way every week from Tucson Dodge at 22nd and Columbus in Tucson. Oregon schools in town this weekend. We'll get to the Ducks in particular in a moment, Coach. Marcus Williams, an outstanding recruit. You've had some great guys out of Seattle. That has become, I want to say, a hotbed of recruiting, but there were many years there where they were few and far between in the Northwest. Now you're finding a lot of
Washington, over the last few years, has had just great recruiting classes. As a matter of fact, this year, 2 of the top 4 kids in the country are from Oregon, but then you look at Washington's team, and there's Haas and Brockman, and you know, so they've had a lot of good players through through recent years. And when Marcus came out that particular year, there were 3 McDonald's All-Americans, believe it or not, and one of them was not Marcus Williams. Right. And I said at the time, and I think you remember, that I said, you know, this kid is going to be the best of the 4, and I really think he is. You know, one of the guys went directly into the pros, but as far as the total all-around game, I think we got the best one, and I think he's gone on to prove that.
All right. Speaking of recruits, of course, you have 5 signed for next year. All are in the midst of their high school seasons right now, and I'd like you to touch on them. And let's start with Jared Bayless. He's known most, of course, to the people in Arizona because he's from Phoenix, and he's been probably the most prominent player this year from Phoenix. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, Jared is averaging 31 points a game, and his team sort of reminds me a little bit of Mike Bibby, that when Mike Bibby played on his team at Shadow Mountain, he didn't have a whole lot to go with him. And if they were going to win, he had to score a whole lot of points. And that's sort of the same thing with Jared, but 31 points a game, but he also averages 7 assists and 7 rebounds. So, you know, that's a good, solid all-around game, and I think that's the kind of college player he's going to be. They're 15-5, but they've played some tough teams. They went down to Florida and played in a big tournament down there. Jamel Horn from San Diego High School in San Diego is also averaging 31. A little bit similar in that he doesn't have a lot to go with him. But in Jamel's case, he's averaging double figures rebounds. He's, you know, he's a good assist man also. And, you know, I think people are really going to enjoy watching him, too. He's about 6'7", long, good, quick jumper. And then Zane Johnson from Thunderbird High School up in Phoenix is averaging 23 points a game and 10 rebounds a game. And so we're very pleased with the guys that we got, and I think they're proving that in the type seasons they're having.
Exciting season this season, and we look forward to excitement ahead with this great recruiting class. Coach, Oregon Ducks will be in town this weekend. They're off to their best start since 1938. As good as advertised?
Well, they're a team that can really get up and down the court. Good shooting team, and they'll challenge us in that way a lot. I mean, they run about as well as anybody. You know from the past how quickly they get the ball down court, and they've added a couple guys to that group too that can really scoot. So from the fan standpoint, it's going to be a very, very fun game, I think, to watch because their style of play is similar to ours.
All right, Cats and the Ducks, that'll be the Sunday night game, tip-off at 6 o'clock at McHale Center. I want to thank everybody at Sullivan Steakhouse here in Tucson. If you're looking for that special night out, the big occasion, big business meeting, Sullivan Steakhouse, the place to be. That's it. On the Air with head coach Lute Olson. See you again next week.